Ladies and gentlemen, the start of the program, Our Miss Brooks, brought to you, usually at this time, sponsored by the Colgate-Palmolive Peat Company, is being delayed momentarily due to technical difficulties beyond our control. In the meantime, we offer you Organ Melodies by Dick Orant. And now, Dick Orant offers Strike Up the Band. Ladies and gentlemen, we have brought you Organ Melodies by Dick Orant. We've delayed the start of our Miss Brooks program, brought to you by the Colgate-Palmolive Peat Company. But now, technical difficulties being restored, we take you to Our Miss Brooks.
Yes, Mrs. Davis, something pretty important's come up that I've got to discuss with Mr. Boynton. I'm meeting him at the zoo right now. Tell you all about it when I come back. Goodbye.
Oh, Connie, you left a couple of letters on your dresser. Huh. She must be in a hurry. She didn't even open her mail, except this one. Dear Miss Brooks, as principal of Sunnydale Finishing School, I shouldn't be reading Connie's mail. I'll get on with my vacuuming. First, I'll get this corner here. Still, it's pretty dirty over by that dresser. As principal of Sunnydale Finishing School, I hereby acknowledge your application for a position. Oh, I'm terrible. I better get over to the other side of the room. Still pretty dirty around Connie's dresser. Application for a position as an English teacher at our school. This is to inform you... Oh, I better shut this thing off. I can hardly hear what I'm reading. This is to inform you that we have an opening at Sunnydale, and we're looking forward to a personal interview. Very truly yours, Jonathan F. Margaret Davis, don't you dare read another word of this letter. No wonder Connie was so excited. Sunnydale is one of the most exclusive schools in the country. But that would mean her leaving Madison High. Oh, this is awful. I better phone Osgood Conklin. As principal of Madison High School, he ought to know about this.
Hello?
Hello. Martha, this is Margaret Davis.
Oh, hello, Margaret. How are you on this fine day after Thanksgiving?
Well, frankly, Martha, I'm a little upset.
Well, so is Osgood. He ate himself into a coma yesterday.
Oh, then maybe you better not tell him today.
Tell him what?
That our Miss Brooks may be leaving Madison High to take a position at Sunnydale Finishing School.
Sunnydale Finishing School? How do you know, Margaret? Did Miss Brooks tell you?
Not exactly, but I got it from the principal of Sunnydale himself, Jonathan F.
Jonathan F. who?
Hold the wire a minute. Byers. Jonathan F. Byers.
Is he there now?
Yes, right on Miss Brooks' dresser. Martha, look. You've got to promise me you'll never breathe a word of this to Miss Brooks or anyone else.
Oh, I promise, Margaret.
Well, just by accident, I just happened to read a letter that was lying on Miss Brooks' dresser.
By accident, Margaret?
Yes, I just happened to have my glasses on. But what are we going to do, Martha? We can't let Miss Brooks leave Madison.
No, we certainly can't. Tell you what, Margaret. I'll talk this over with my daughter, Harriet, and call you back later.
All right. And remember, you promised not to mention a word about my reading Miss Brooks' mail.
Oh, of course, my dear. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, I hope they'll be able to think of some way to keep her here. Oh, hello, Minerva. I'll get you some milk in a minute, dear. Now, Minerva. Better stop licking your paw. You know what it does to you. Swing tight.
You, Miss Brooks. Here I am, over here by these birds.
Oh, of course, Mr. Boynton. I thought you were a little tall for a pelican.
It was nice of you to meet me. How'd you get over here so quickly?
It was simple. I dressed on the way over. But now that I'm here, what was it you wanted to see me about?
Well, perhaps we'd better sit down while I tell you. Here's a bench under this tree.
Fine.
There. You comfortable?
Perfectly.
Miss Brooks,
Yes, Mr. Boynton?
Well, you must forgive me if I seem overexcited, but frankly, I never thought this day would come.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
Oh. Well, before it goes, why didn't you think it would ever come?
Because of the things that have happened in the past, or rather because of the things that haven't happened in the past.
Those are the ones that bother me, too.
You realize, of course, I'm referring to the migratory habits of the Arctic grackle.
Oh, I realized that a long time ago. I just didn't want to let on.
This is the first time a grackle has ever been south of the Canadian border.
Maybe he was waiting till after the election.
I knew that something was afoot when I looked out of my window this morning and saw a black and blue bullfinch.
What happened to him? Get caught in a badminton game?
The movements of the grackle can be very accurately charted by closely observing the bullfinch, since they are, in the truest sense of the word, full cousins to the mottled thrush.
Where did he come from?
Hudson Bay. And almost all of these species of bird like to lay their eggs in a soft, downy nest amid quiet surroundings. That's why I sent for you, Miss Brooks.
Good. I'll take my hat off and keep my mouth shut.
Now, I know this sounds terribly involved, but actually it's quite simple. You see, My uncle's farm in Boonville is a perfect nesting ground for both bullfinch and thrush.
How does your aunt feel about that?
Well, they both love birds. They've built a sanctuary for them, and I have an idea that if I get right up there, I may stumble into some grackle eggs.
It sounds like fun if you don't mind albumin on your Oxfords.
Well, that's why I asked you to meet me, to say goodbye.
Goodbye? But, Mr. Boynton, haven't you heard the old saying? 2 grackle hunters are better than 1?
Oh, but you couldn't come along with me. It's a 10-hour drive to Boonville, and we'd have to stay overnight.
Oh, but we'd certainly be well chaperoned, what with your aunt and uncle and all those bullfinches.
Yes, they did have 600 of them up there last year, but I don't know, Miss Brooks. Even with the chaperones, you know how people talk, and unless we didn't say anything about it, but even then they might find out, although we'd only be gone a couple of days. Still, if the rumor got around that we were... Of course, we wouldn't be. But then there are those who might... Oh, but how could they? What do you think, Miss Brooks?
Why should I butt in? Decide among yourselves.
Well, it is kind of a long trip to make alone. Maybe you're right, Miss Brooks. Why, with the 2 of us traveling together, time will fly. We can chat together, eat together,
Yes,
and
Mr.
pay
Boynton?
for the gas together. I still insist that no one should hear about it, though. For the sake of both our reputations, absolute secrecy is essential. Not a word of this must cross our lips. Can I depend on you not to divulge our plans to a living soul? On your honor, Miss Brooks?
Get out your penknife and let's exchange blood.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, will continue in just a moment. But first, here is Vern Smith with an important announcement.
Attention, ladies. Regardless of age, skin type, or previous beauty care, doctors prove you, too, may win a lovelier complexion with Palmolive soap.
But to win this lovelier complexion, the kind men admire and women envy, you must stop improper cleansing. Instead, use Palmolive soap alone, the way doctors advise.
Remember, 36 doctors, leading skin specialists, advised 1,285 women, many with complexion problems, to use Palmolive this way. Some had dry skin, some oily, some coarse-looking. Using Palmolive soap alone, 2 out of 3 won lovelier complexions, regardless of age, type of skin, or previous beauty care. Now, here's the plan doctors advise.
Wash your face with Palmolive soap. Massaging for 1 minute with Palmolive's soft lather. This cleansing massage brings your skin Palmolive's full beautifying effect. Rinse. Do this 3 times a day for 14 days.
It's that simple. But leading skin specialists prove this way, using Palmolive alone, nothing else, really works. So forget other beauty care. Use Palmolive soap as these doctors advise for a lovelier complexion.
Last night on the CBS Sing It Again program, you were promised an additional clue to the Phantom voice and the $24,000 prize. Here it is. The Phantom is a famous ghost who galloped far from post to post. Yes, there is the clue for the $24,000 prize on the CBS Sing It Again program on Saturday night. The clue again, the Phantom is a famous ghost who galloped far from post to post. And now, as she quietly prepares for a weekend in the country, our Miss Brooks is blissfully unaware of the furor caused by the 5-year-old letter which she left on her dresser. Let's look in now on Martha Conklin as she discusses the situation with her daughter, Harriet.
So you see, Harriet, it looks very much like your favorite teacher will soon be leaving Madison High.
Oh, that's terrible, Mother. Have you told Daddy about it yet?
Not yet, Harriet. I'm waiting until he recovers from his Thanksgiving dinner. You know how upset he gets when we mention the shortage of teachers.
Oh, yes. Golly, Mother, he's been lying over there on the couch for hours. Do you think he's all right?
Oh, of course he's all right. He's just sleeping. Aren't you, Osgood? I say, aren't you just sleeping, Osgood?
Yeah? What? No. Take it away. Take it. Oh. I guess I was having a nightmare.
A nightmare, Daddy?
Yes, I dreamt I was still eating. I swear I don't know how those pilgrims did it.
Did what, Osgood?
Ate all that turkey and fought Indians besides.
I'm surprised at you, Daddy. That's not the real Thanksgiving spirit.
A lot I've got to be thankful for.
Well, you've got us, Daddy. Mother and me.
Yes. I've got you all right. I've also got the school. A school full of overcrowded classrooms and a horde of unreasonable teachers constantly screaming for a living wage.
Now, Osgood, don't work yourself up into a stew.
Oh, please, Mom. Don't even mention words like that.
You haven't got the right attitude, Daddy. Nowadays, if you can hang on to the good teachers you've got, anything else you get is gravy.
Me! Not you, too.
Maybe we ought to go out and let your father sleep a while longer, Harry.
Yes, that's a splendid suggestion, Martha. Oh, this couch feels good.
Oh, I'll get it. Coming. Oh, hello, Walter. Come on in. It's Walter Denton, Mother.
Hiya, Harriet. Hello, Mrs. Conklin.
Hello, Walter.
And how are you, Mr. Conklin? You certainly look peaceful.
I was, Denton.
Did you finish your lunch, Harriet? I just finished mine. We had plenty of turkey left over from yesterday, and I just ate the part that went over the...
Oh, no! Harriet, take him out of here!
What's the matter with your father, Harriet? Doesn't he feel good?
Not too good, Walter. Let's go into the other room.
Okay. I hope you feel better, Mr. Conklin. I guess it was a mistake to hash over Thanksgiving again.
Come out in the kitchen, Walter. There's something we want to tell you.
Guess what, Walter? Miss Brooks is leaving Madison High.
What? How do you know, Harriet?
Mother found out from Mrs. Davis.
Mrs. Davis? But how does she know?
We can't repeat that, Walter.
Repeat what?
That Mrs. Davis read a letter Miss Brooks left on her dresser. It was a letter offering her a position at Sunnydale Finishing School.
Sunnydale? But that's 500 miles from here. Oh, we've got to do something. Maybe we can cook up some kind of a scheme to make her stay. I know. We'll pretend I've become a delinquent.
But do you think it'll work?
It's got to work. Have you told Mr. Conklin about this?
Not yet.
We didn't want to upset him.
Well, he'll find out sooner or later, and there's no sense in waiting until it's too late. Somebody ought to tell him right away.
I agree. Don't you, Mother?
Yes, Harriet, I do. Somebody ought to tell him.
Walter, don't look at me. If I go in there now, he'll bite my head off.
Don't be silly, Walter. Mr. Conklin won't eat anything for 2 more days.
Who is it?
It's me, Connie.
Oh, I'm kind of busy right now, Mrs. Davis. She would come around just when I'm packing. Well, come on in.
Why, Connie, you're going away.
No, Mrs. Davis, I'm not going away.
Then why are you packing that bag?
I'm going away, Mrs. Davis.
I'm surprised at you, Constance, leaving town without even saying goodbye. And after we've been so close.
Oh, please don't feel that way, Mrs. Davis. I just didn't want to discuss it right now. You see, I have a lot of things to do.
Oh, I don't want anybody to see me like this. You answer the door, Connie. I'm going into the kitchen and make some tea.
All right, Mrs. Davis.
Hello, Miss Brooks. I've just got to talk to you for a minute.
Come in, Harriet. Let's sit here in the living room. I can't stay very long, but
Then it's true. You are leaving town.
Leaving town? How did you know, Harriet?
What's the difference? I know. And I realize it might be a pretty good opportunity for you.
Pretty good. With half a break from the grackle, it's perfect. Oh, look, Harriet, I appreciate your interest, but I think I have to make my own decision in a matter like this.
Oh, I know it seems attractive now, but later on you'll regret it.
Well, I'll have to take my chances on that.
Well, if you won't consider yourself, consider the ones who care for you. Think of Walter Denton.
Is that a must?
He's going to pieces. His parents, me, nobody can do anything with him. You've got to straighten him out, Miss Brooks.
What in the world are you talking about, Harriet?
It's the career he's decided upon. Walter's been reading a big book lately about the Treasury Department and counterfeiters and...
Well, that's nothing to be alarmed about. Every boy his age wants to be a T-man or a G-man or some kind of a letter man.
But he doesn't want to be a T-man. He wants to be a counterfeiter.
A counterfeiter? Oh, I'll get it. Hello, Walter. Come in.
Hiya, Miss Brooks. I'm glad I nailed you before you took it on the lamb.
the living room. Oh, hello, Harriet. How's my little Confederate to be, huh?
See, Miss Brooks, see how funny he acts?
What is all this nonsense, Walter?
What do you mean nonsense? I'm making money hand over fist. The only trouble is scratching the green goods ain't enough.
It ain't?
Nah. You gotta get a good queer shover to help you pass the boodle.
Queer shover?
A paper hanger, you know, snide pitcher. You can have the best cognac in the world make your slush, but if you ain't got a top bill poster to push the flash, you might as well slough the screwy and scramble for the McCoy. Follow me?
Yes, but if I could find my way back alone, I'd leave now.
You've got to do something, Miss Brooks. Walter wasn't cut out for a life of crime.
Oh, now listen, you two. I don't know what's behind all this, but this is...
Oh, it's simple. When you get to where you're going, I'll send you a few stacks of hot to shove.
I don't want to shove no hot. I mean, I wish somebody would tell me what's coming. It's a good thing I never built a better mousetrap.
Good afternoon, Miss Brooks.
Why, it's Mr. Mousetrap. I mean, Mr. Conklin. Come on in.
Who is that, Connie?
It's Mr. Conklin.
Oh, hello, Osgood. I was just making some tea, but you know what they say. A watch pot never boils.
Hello, Margaret. Now then, Miss Brooks, I'll be brief. I know that you're leaving town.
You two? Somebody must be reading my mail.
On second thought, I'd better go back and watch that pot.
Miss Brooks, I think I can say without fear of contradiction that I know how to run a school as well as any principal in the country.
Well, I guess you do, Mr. Conklin.
That's why I'm here, to ask you to reconsider this proposition you've had.
Proposition?
Yes. I can offer you anything he can.
What would Mrs. Conklin say if she knew you were talking this way?
She's all for it.
What?
And so's my daughter, Harriet.
Oh, now, please, Mr. Conklin. I've had a rather puzzling day so far, but this is... It just happens that your daughter's in the living room now. I think we'd better go in there.
I'll be glad to. Oh, hello, Harriet. Walter.
Hi,
Mr.
Daddy.
Conklin.
I'm awfully glad you decided to put your pride in your pocket and come over here. Did you ask her yet?
Yes, Harriet, I did. The rest is up to Miss Brooks.
Don't go away, anybody. I'll put your transfers when I get back. Mr. Boynton.
Yes, Miss Brooks, it's I. May I come in?
Why, of course. I've still got a single in the mezzanine. But I can't help wondering, what happened to that oath of secrecy we took?
Well, that's what I'd like to know. I thought you weren't going to tell anybody about our trip to my uncle's place.
I didn't say a word about it.
You didn't?
No.
Why, I've never seen so many wagging tongues in all my life.
You think you've seen wagging tongues? My living room looks like a delicatessen. Come on.
I just don't understand. Oh, hello, folks.
Hi, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, Boynton. Maybe you can help get Miss Brooks to change her mind.
Well, I don't wish to appear insubordinate, sir, but frankly, I thought the trip might do us both a lot of good.
Both? Don't tell me you're leaving, too. Pretty soon there'll be no faculty left at Madison High whatsoever. We might as well all go.
I don't think his uncle and aunt have room for you all. Besides, Mr. Conklin, I think where I go and what I do is nobody's business but my own.
And I say it is our business. Why you should want to go traipsing off to Sunnydale Finishing School is beyond me.
Sunnydale Finishing School?
Of course. Now, there's no sense in beating about the bush. Mrs. Davis read the letter you left on your dresser this morning, and we know you've been offered a job there.
Oh, that letter.
Yeah.
Why, that's over 5 years old, Mr. Conklin. I turned that job down long ago.
Oh, I'm so happy, Miss Brooks.
Hooray, now I can go straight.
But then, what were we talking about? You, Mr. Boynton, why did... Miss Brooks, just where were you and Mr. Boynton going together?
That, Mr. Conklin, is a secret between Mr. Boynton, myself, and 600 bullfinches.
Eve Arden as our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment, but first...
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
Tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. only Luster Cream brings you Kay Daumit's magic formula blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Gives loveliness lather even in hardest water. Glamorizes your hair as you wash it. Luster Cream. Not a soap, not a liquid, but a dainty cream shampoo. Leaves hair fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen, soft, manageable. Gives new beauty to all hairdos or permanents. 4-ounce jar, $1. Smaller sizes, either tubes or jars. Tonight, try Luster Cream Shampoo and be a
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl. You owe your crowning glory to a luster cream shampoo.
And now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, after everyone found out about our plans, Mr. Boynton naturally called off the expedition. But things weren't a total loss, because Saturday afternoon he took me back to the zoo, and we sat by the aviary once again.
You know, Miss Brooks, even though our trip didn't work out, I was very gratified to learn of your interest in birds and wildlife in general.
Yes, I'm a great bird for wildlife.
Well, since this common interest of ours has brought us so much closer together, there's something else I want to tell you, Miss Brooks. Something I think you ought to know.
What's that, Mr. Boynton?
There's a pelican here who holds 18 pounds of fish in his beak.
What's he waiting for, the price to go up?
Next week, tune into another Our Miss Brooks show, brought to you by Palmolive Soap, Your Beauty Hope, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous dream girl hair.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced by Larry Burns, written and directed by Al Lewis, with music by Wilbur Hatch. Mr. Boynton is played by Jeff Chandler, Mr. Conklin by Gail Gordon.
Dentists know what cleans teeth best. And over 4,000 dentists say Colgate tooth powder with a 2-minute routine gets teeth sparkling and super clean. So to remove dull film and get your teeth shining clean, just brush teeth 2 minutes, morning and night, with Colgate tooth powder. Brush inside, outside, and biting surfaces. Always brush away from the gums. See how this gets teeth naturally bright. It removes dull film that improper brushing misses. And Colgate tooth powder also sweetens your breath. Try it. Buy Colgate tooth powder today.
For mystery liberally sprinkled with laughs, listen to Mr. and Mrs. North, the exciting, fun-packed adventures of an amateur detective and his beautiful wife. Tune in Tuesday evenings over most of these same stations. And be with us again next week at the same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Stay tuned now for Lum and Abner. Bob Lamont speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Palmolive Soap, Your Beauty Hope, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous dream girl hair bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. Our Miss Brooks teaches English at Madison High School. And although, like most of our teachers, she possesses a higher-than-average intelligence, she also possesses the higher-than-average curiosity of most of our women. Especially when it comes to weighing machines. There's nobody more concerned about the result than a female who has just deposited her penny in the slot.
Unless it's the male tub of lard who was on the scale when I got there. This happened last Wednesday after school. I was passing the drugstore and just happened to have a penny on me. Tuesday was payday. So I approached the weighing machine, and like I said, this brewery horse was stomping on the springs. And when he saw his weight on the little card, he looked around the drugstore, then made tracks for a sign saying girdle department. I calmly stepped aboard, and when my card came out, I glanced casually at my weight, chuckled as if to say, how much accuracy can you expect for a cent? And was just about to throw the card away when I noticed my fortune printed on the back. It said, A tall, dark man is coming into your life. Then, of course, I did drop the card. It landed in my purse, and I proceeded on home. By the next morning, I'd forgotten about it completely. As usual, I'd left word for Mrs. Davis, my landlady, to wake me at 7:30.
Connie. Oh, Connie.
Oh, what is it?
Better hurry, Connie. You've only got 20 minutes.
20 minutes? What time is it?
7:10, and you've only got 20 minutes to sleep.
Oh, fine. Well, come on in, Mrs. Davis.
Did you have a good night, Connie? I said, did you have a good night?
Good night, Mrs. Davis.
You better get up now, Connie. Here, I've brought you some fruit juice. Go on, Connie. Take a sip.
Oh, what kind of juice is this?
It's a combination. Pineapple, papaya, and passion fruit. It's a genuine Hawaiian recipe.
What do you stir it with, a ukulele?
After you drink it, we'll have a nice... Why, Connie, what's that little white card?
What little white card?
This one here on your night table. Let's see. It says, a tall, dark man is coming into your life. Now, who do you suppose that could be?
Well, it's not Sonny Tufts. He's a blonde.
Maybe they mean Mr. Philip Boynton.
The bashful biologist? No, Mrs. Davis. So far, he's managed to remain in the suburbs of my life.
Well, of course, I don't believe in fortunes on cards and crystal gazing and palm reading and all that nonsense. There is, however, a logical and scientific way to arrive at certain conclusions about one's personal destiny.
What's that, Mrs. Davis?
Tea leaves. Now, you hurry and get dressed, and I'll brew the tea. After breakfast, I'll give you a reading.
All right, Mrs. Davis. Oh, just a minute.
What is it, Connie?
Before I get out of bed, you better take that tall, dark man off my night table.
Finished with your tea, Connie?
Yes, Mrs. Davis.
Let's see now. Where are the leaves?
Well, most of them are in my teeth.
Here we are. There's plenty left for a reading. First, we revolve the cup 3 times slowly between our hands, then quickly turn it over onto the saucer. There. Well, what do you know? The weight card was right.
What?
There he is, right there in the cup. The tall, dark man who's coming into your life. Don't tell me you can't see him.
Oh, of course. For a minute, I didn't recognize him with all those tea leaves on.
This is an amazing coincidence, Connie. I'd like to get another reading, if you don't mind.
Oh, not at all, Mrs. Davis. It's always nice to be sure.
Well, what do you know about that?
I know, he's gone. Left town without even saying goodbye.
Connie, be serious. This is an amazing thing I see in this cup.
What now, Mrs. Davis?
I don't think I should tell you.
Why not?
Because you're not even married yet.
Oh, but I'm a big girl now. I'll have to find out sooner or later.
I never would have believed it. 3 of them.
3 tall, dark men?
No, Constance. 3 little ones.
3 little dark men?
Children. You're going to have 3 children.
Well, don't look so shocked, Mrs. Davis. Maybe they're his by a former marriage.
No, Connie, they're yours. But how can you keep your job at school if you've got to take care of... Oh, I know. I'll get Mrs. Fletcher. When my niece Bertha had the twins, Mrs. Fletcher took over completely.
Oh, now, just a minute, Mrs. Davis. Don't you think
now,
it's a little
quiet,
soon?
Connie. You can't prepare too soon for this sort of thing. Now, where did I put Mrs. Fletcher's phone number? I better call
I don't want Mrs. Fletcher. I'll take care of my kids myself.
Yes, that's the way you want it, Connie. After all, I'm only trying to be helpful.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Davis. This tea leaf business is pretty fascinating. But I better get ready. Walter Denton's giving me a lift to school again.
Oh, is your car in the repair shop, Connie?
Yes, it is.
What's wrong with it this time?
Well, I can't be sure, but I think that Joe, the mechanic, and my car are that way about each other. Every time I try to separate them, the car blows a gasket. Oh, there's Walter now. I'll be right with you, Walter.
Oh, before you go, Connie, please do me one favor.
Certainly. What is it?
Promise me you'll be very careful today.
Careful? Oh, you mean about my fortune. Mrs. Davis, I give you my word of honor. I'll let you know in plenty of time to call Mrs. Fletcher. Walter, it's very nice of you to keep driving me to school like this.
Oh, that's all right, Miss Brooks. I don't like to take advantage of the fact that because your car is incapacitated and I can jump into the breach now and then, transportation-wise, that is, you can't very well refuse gracefully, but I'm telling you can before I even ask you. That's square enough, isn't it?
Square as things since Clyde McCoy. But being an English teacher, I practically understand you, Walter. Just what kind of advice do you need this morning?
Oh, it's a girl.
What's a girl?
Harriet Conklin.
Why, Walter Denton, you've been wearing your glasses again. What about Harriet?
Well, I'm afraid it's a pretty long story.
That's all right. I have a pretty long ear.
Well, as you know, Miss Brooks, Harriet Conklin is the daughter of Mr. Conklin.
Granted.
Who in turn is married to Harriet's mother, Mrs. Conklin. It all started the night before last. See, I told you it was a long story.
Only the way you tell it. Go ahead, Walter.
Well, the night before last, I had a date with Harriet to go to the movies. But when I got to her house to pick her up, she acted like I had bubonic plague or something.
Did you? I mean, what did she do?
Well, she said that she couldn't be bothered with me anymore because a tall, dark man was coming into her life.
Her, too? Must be an epidemic. Where did she find out about this tall, dark man?
Well, that's where Mother comes in.
Maybe there's a shorter way to listen to this story.
Her mother and Harriet had taken out the Ouija board that afternoon. That's when they found out about this tall guy.
Well, after all, Walter, you can't compete with a non-existent rival.
That's just the trouble. He's not non-existent.
He's not?
No, he materialized yesterday.
Oh, now, Walter, please.
No, it's true, Miss Brooks. Harriet told me all about him when I called yesterday evening, although I wasn't going to after the way she treated me the evening before. But when I did, she told me that this tall, dark French teacher had checked in at their house to give her father his papers before he began teaching French at school today.
I know you're telling me something because I can see your lips moving. What is it, Walter?
Well, don't you understand, Miss Brooks? It's called an exchange deal. This teacher came over from Paris, France.
What did we send them? 2 outfielders and a shortstop?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I do know that Harriet sounded like this French teacher was a combination of Maurice Chevrolet and...
I know. Maurice Chevrolet and Charles Buick.
I was going to say Charles Boyer.
That's what I was afraid you were going to say. This teacher must be quite an interesting personality. What's his name?
Let's see now. Well, there's an article about him in the school paper. Oh, I know. It's Manette. Jacques Manette.
Jacques Manette? Oh, you mean Jacques Monet. Say, that is a romantic-sounding name, all right. I'll bet he's a very nice person.
Oh, it's not him I'm worried about. It's Harriet. Since he showed up, she thinks the Ouija board is infallible.
The Ouija board? Oh, that's ridiculous. Harriet's much too sensible to... Why, I'm surprised at her. Next thing you know, she'll be having her tea leaves read. 3 children?
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, will continue in just a moment. But first, here is Vern Smith with an important announcement.
Doctors, leading skin specialists, prove Palmolive soap using nothing but Palmolive can bring lovelier complexions, regardless of age, skin type, or previous beauty care.
Less oily skin for Helen Bixen, Minneapolis.
Fresher, brighter color for Clara Franklin, San Francisco.
Smoother, younger-looking skin for Rochelle Bruchot, New York City.
Yes, 36 doctors, leading skin specialists, advised using Palmolive for 1,285 women, many with complexion problems. Some had dry skin, some oily, some dull and coarse-looking. And using Palmolive alone, nothing else, 2 out of 3 want fresher, brighter skin. Now, here's the plan these doctors advised.
Wash your face with Palmolive soap. Massaging for 1 minute with Palmolive soft lather. This cleansing massage brings your skin Palmolive beautifying effect. Rinse. Do this 3 times a day for 14 days.
It's that simple. But remember, leading skin specialists prove this plan really works, regardless of age, skin type, or previous beauty care. So try Palmolive soap this way, using nothing but Palmolive, as these doctors advised, for a lovelier complexion.
For loveliness all over, use big, thrifty bath-size Palmolive in your tub or shower.
Brooks.
Thanks, Walter, and don't worry too much about losing Harriet's affections. I'm sure the French teacher's just a passing phase in her life.
Say, there's Harriet on the steps. I'll go find a place to park. See you later, Miss Brooks.
All right, Walter. Hello there, Harriet.
What? Oh, hello, Miss Brooks. You'll have to forgive me if I seem to be in a reverie.
I've heard about your Ouija board.
I don't care what anybody says, Miss Brooks. There must be something to it. Imagine the very next day, he came along.
That's the first time I've ever seen capital letters in conversation. He must be quite attractive.
Attractive isn't the word, Miss Brooks.
No? What is the word?
Heavenly. Super heavenly. Stratospherically heavenly.
Oh, please, Harriet. I'll come up a little if you'll come down a little.
Oh, wait till you see him, Miss Brooks. He's...
Adjust safety belts. Mm-hmm. Look, Harriet, I think it's all very natural for a schoolgirl to have crushes. I had them myself.
You, Miss Brooks?
Yes, me, Miss Brooks. I wasn't born an English teacher, you know. I also think it's perfectly normal for a girl your age to think like a schoolgirl in other ways. But I do say this, and I mean it sincerely, Harriet. You don't have to act like a schoolgirl.
Pardonnez-moi, but you are the principal's daughter, Harriet, no?
Mais oui, Monsieur Monet, mais oui. Oh, this is Miss Brooks.
Miss Brooks, je suis enchanté. That is, I've heard so much about you. But it is, how do you say, understatement. You're so youthful, so lovely. Why, you're like a pupil, not a teacher.
Run along, Harriet. You'll be late for school.
But we're at school.
Oh? When did that get here?
Something is wrong.
Wrong? Oh, I should say not, Monsieur Monet. It's just that, well, we don't meet such distinguished visitors every day, and, well, they must have given at least 3 outfielders and 2 shortstops for him.
Pardon?
Oh, it's just a figure of speech.
Oh, and a lovely figure you have, too.
Oh, this is a doll. Shall we go into the school, Monsieur Monet?
Oui, yes. I have to stop at Monsieur Conklin's office. You show me where it is, huh? No?
I show you where is it, yes. And I hope Mr. Boynton sees us together.
I'll direct Monsieur Monet to Daddy's office, Miss Brooks.
Oh, you won't have time, Harriet. You have to freshen up before your class.
Freshen up? But I just stepped out of the shower.
Then give yourself a rub down. You'll catch cold. This way, monsieur.
Well, it's our new French teacher. Good morning, Monsieur Monet.
Bonjour, Monsieur Conklin. Excuse me, I mean good morning.
Hi, Daddy.
Hello, Harriet.
Mr. Conklin, I just came in to volunteer my assistance if you're looking for somebody to show Mr. Monet around the school.
I told Miss Brooks that I'd be glad to take Mr. Monet, Daddy. Of course, I'd need your permission to cut one of my classes. Maybe English. I'm pretty well advanced in that.
Me too. Maybe we both could cut it.
Please, I would not want either of you to, how do you say, put out yourselves.
Oh, it would be silly to put out ourselves now. After all, we just started to blaze.
I'm sure I'll be able to show Mr. Monet the rope.
But, Daddy, you're too busy.
Oh, much too busy, Daddy. I mean... Mr. Conklin, I have a study period coming up in which
I don't
have
want to hear any more about it. I'm sure Mr. Monet wouldn't want us to feel that because of him our entire system was disrupted.
Oh, certainly not. I can find my own way about the premises. I'm sure that...
Well, in that case, come along, Harriet. You're in my first class, you know.
Oh, one moment, Miss Brooks. Would you do me the great honor of perhaps having lunch with me?
With pleasure. Oh, but I did have a date with Mr. Boynton. I think I'll keep that date, too. Maybe it'll open his eyes a little. I'll see you in the cafeteria, Mr. Monet.
But I thought Mr. Monet was going to have lunch with us. Didn't you tell me you were going to invite him to the house, Daddy?
Invite him? Well, I suppose so.
Thank you just the same, monsieur, but I would rather not leave the school proper during my first day.
An admirable spirit, Monet. If more of our homegrown teachers had it, Madison High School would be a better place in which to learn something. Something like English, for example.
Yes. Well, as the little boy in the Fisk ad says,
it's time to retire.
Come in.
Hello, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, it's you, Miss Brooks. How are you today?
Fine, thanks. I'm glad I caught you before your class got in. I wanted to ask you about lunch.
Oh, I'll be happy to join you. Thanks very much.
Oh. Well, I had other plans, but how can I resist an invitation like that? By the way, Mr. Boynton, do you speak any foreign language?
Just American.
Why, Mr. Boynton, you're getting quite a sense of humor. Must catch it from your frogs. Really, though, do you speak French, for instance?
No, I don't.
Then you wouldn't know what a French person would be saying to me if he said it in French, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Good. This may be a very interesting lunch for all of us.
All of us?
Yes, you see, there's a new teacher in school.
Oh, you mean Jacques Monet?
You've met him?
Oh, yes. I had to deliver some papers to Mr. Conklin's home yesterday, and he was there. Oh, he's a prince of a chap. We had quite a time together. Be nice to see him again at lunch.
Oh, it will.
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, you'll have to apologize to him for me. I'm afraid I'll be a little late.
Oh, you will? That's too bad, Mr. Boynton. Why will you be late?
Well, it's McDougal here. You know, my bullfrog. He's got me worried, Miss Brooks. It's his throat. He can't seem to croak above a whisper.
Oh, that's too bad. Poor McDougal. Hi, Mac. He must have gargled.
Did sound pretty good. No, I'll still have to stay close to him to see how the medication I'm giving him catches on. I'll get to lunch as soon as I can, though. Ah, good old Jacques Monet. He's a real man's man.
You've been wrong before, Brother Boynton, but never like this. Here's a nice table, Mr. Monet. Let's sit down.
Oui. Yes, Miss Brooks. This is certainly a big restaurant.
It's a cafeteria, Mr. Monet.
Yes. Now then, shall we look at the carte du jour, bill of fare?
Bill of fare?
Mhm.
Oh, you mean menu. They don't have any menus here, Mr. Monet.
No? Then how do you select an order?
Well, here you don't exactly select an order. You just sort of point and holler. I'll show you in a minute. But first, I'd like to ask a little favor, Mr. Monet. As you know, Mr. Boynton is joining us for lunch.
Oh, yes. Yes, fine fellow, Mr. Boynton. A real man's man.
On him, it fits. I mean, he is a very nice man, but he's sort of shy.
Shy?
Mhm.
Why should he be shy? He is tall, muscular, with a fine head of hair, good teeth, pleasing manner.
What else is new? What I wanted to ask of you is very simple. You see, Mr. Boynton is too bashful to ask you himself, but I'm sure he'd get a tremendous kick. That is, he'd enjoy it if you spoke nothing but French during our lunch.
But why?
Well, he's trying to learn how to speak your language. He understands it fine, but he's not sure of his pronunciation. He could learn a lot from you about a lot of things.
Well, I suppose I could help him.
He's coming over now, Mr. Monet. Remember how you kissed my hand this morning? Would you do it again, please?
What?
Quickly, Mr. Monet. It's part of Mr. Boynton's education. Hurry. Here, my hand.
Miss Brooks, I don't like to be, how do you say, gouchy, but you're pushing out one of my feelings.
There you are. What's the trouble, Mr. Monet? Got something caught in your teeth?
Just an old cuticle of mine. Sit down, Mr. Boynton.
Comment ça va aujourd'hui, monsieur?
Yeah. How do you like our cafeteria?
C'est bon.
Mr. Monet says it's lovely, but not half as lovely as I am. Why, Mr. Monet, how flattering. Let's see now. What will we eat today?
Well, how about the roast beef? That's what I'm going to have.
Me, too. How about you, Mr. Monet? Tell him in French.
Je désire un petit marmite, eau vichysoise, une salade et une tranche de roast beef, des haricots verts, des crêpes Suzette et une demi-tasse.
Oh, Mr. Monet, you and your compliments. stop that and tell Mr. Boynton what you want to eat.
But I do not understand.
Mr. Monet, quel voulez-vous manger?
Mr. Boynton, you little spy, you can speak French.
Oh, no, I can't, Miss Brooks. Not really. Those are just a few words I picked up when I was in the Army.
The Army? You were stationed in New Orleans, and you know it.
But near the French Quarter.
Well, let us not delay any longer. I don't suppose they have what I really want for lunch. But maybe, eh? Do they ever have frog's legs?
What?
Oh, don't say it, Mr. Monet.
Well, why not? Frog's legs are delicious to eat. Let's all have them, eh?
Me? Eat frog's legs? What? I'd feel like a cannibal. If you'll excuse me, I'm afraid I've lost my appetite. I'll see you later, Miss Brooks.
Why would he feel like a cannibal if he ate frog's legs? He is not a frog.
Only in some ways is he not a frog, Mr. Monet. But don't worry about Mr. Boynton now.
Oh, yes, you're right. You're right, Miss Brooks. You know, in a way, I'm glad we're alone. There is something I would like to ask you. You see, I have been searching for just the right one ever since I come to America. And now, well, I feel that my search is at an end. You are the one I've been searching for.
Oh, Mr. Monet. But Mr. Boynton's gone now. You don't have to talk like that to me.
Oh, I don't think of Mr. Boynton. I think of you, Miss Brooks. Ma chère, Miss Brooks. I have something personal to talk to you about. But right now I'm late for an appointment with Mr. Conklin. Can you meet me someplace, right after school?
How about the Casbah? I mean the park.
Fine.
Of course, I have several papers to mark, and besides, I have to formulate my plans for tomorrow's class, and there are some other routine affairs I must take care of.
Oh, I realize this. How long will it all take?
Well, school doesn't let out until 3, and it's a 20-minute walk to the park. Would 3:10 be all right?
I will come right to the point, Miss Brooks. I have met you here in the park to make you what you call proposal.
Proposal? But, Mr. Monet, you hardly know me.
Oh, I know you well enough for this, Miss Brooks. After talking to many, many women, Mrs. Conklin, little Mrs. Conklin, about Harriet. I mean, I know you are the ideal woman for me.
Oh, this is very flattering, Mr. Monet, but marriage is a serious step.
Marriage? I cannot marry with you. I am already married.
With you?
Well, with my wife, Helene. She arrives here next week. For you, I have another proposal.
Any other proposal is only good for a sock in the nozzle.
No, you do not understand. I want you to accept a position as tutor for my 3 children.
3 children? Oh, Mrs. Davis will love this.
Well, they need very badly coaching in English before they can enter school here. And, well, what do you say, Miss Brooks? Will you help us out?
Mr. Monet, may I ask you one question?
Of course. What is it?
Among your children, is there a tall, dark one in the crowd?
Eve Arden as our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment. But first...
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
Tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Only Luster Cream brings you Kay Dumit's magic formula blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Gives loveliness lather even in hardest water. Glamorizes your hair as you wash it. Luster Cream, not a soap, not a liquid, but a dainty cream shampoo. Leaves hair fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen, soft, manageable. Gives new beauty to all hairdos or permanents. 4-ounce jar, $1. Smaller sizes, either tubes or jars. Tonight, try Luster Cream shampoo and be a
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl. You owe your crowning glory to Luster Cream Shampoo.
And now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, I promised Mr. Monet I'd help him out with his children, but I must admit I was a little let down when I found out he wasn't a bachelor. And I said as much to Mrs. Davis.
Yes, Connie, it's a shame that such a darling man is already married.
But he served his purpose as far as upsetting Mr. Boynton goes.
What do you mean, Connie?
Well, the day after we had lunch together, Mr. Boynton was so concerned about the situation, guess what he did?
What?
He put a brand new lock on his frog's cage.
Next week, tune in to another Our Miss Brooks show brought to you by Palmolive Soap, Your Beauty Hope, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous dream girl hair.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced by Larry Burns, written and directed by Al Lewis, with music by Wilbur Hatch. Mr. Boynton is played by Jeff Chandler, Mr. Conklin by Gail Gordon. Others in tonight's cast were Jane Morgan, Dick Crenna, Gloria McMillan, and Gerald Moore.
Dentists know what cleans teeth best. And over 4,000 dentists say Colgate tooth powder with a 2-minute routine gets teeth sparkling and super clean. So to remove dull film and get your teeth shining clean, just brush teeth 2 minutes morning and night with Colgate tooth powder. Brush inside, outside, and biting surfaces. Always brush away from the gums. See how this gets teeth naturally bright. It removes dull film that improper brushing misses. And Colgate tooth powder also sweetens your breath. Try it. Buy Colgate tooth powder today.
For mystery liberally sprinkled with laughs, listen to Mr. and Mrs. North, the exciting, fun-packed adventures of an amateur detective and his beautiful wife. Tune in Tuesday evenings over most of these same stations. And be with us again next week at the same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks.
Do you want to be free to work where you choose, start your own business, own your own home, invest your money as you see fit? Then the American way of life is best for you. We have the highest standard of living. Since 1910, we have practically doubled our annual income, yet our working time has been cut by about 18 hours a week. Let's start to realize how fortunate we are. Let's work a little harder on our jobs and at being better citizens. Let's remember that the better we produce, the better we live.
Stay tuned now for Lum and Abner. Bob Lamont speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Our Miss Brooks. Yes, it's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, under the direction of Al Lewis. Well, many of us are spending this Christmas Eve with our families and friends. But our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, isn't quite so fortunate.
No, my family was too far away to visit, and it seems my friends had other plans. But I made up my mind not to brood about it, and I was trimming a rather tiny tree in our living room when Mrs. Davis, my landlady, joined me.
That's quite a nice Christmas tree, Connie.
It isn't really a Christmas tree, Mrs. Davis. It's called a friendship tree. You see, I trim it by putting all my greeting cards on the branches with strips of cellophane tape. Looks nice, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. You certainly received some pretty cards this year.
And the sentiments are so lovely. Look at this one I got from my principal.
Mr. Conklin, what does it say, dear?
It's very heartwarming, Mrs. Davis. It says, to Miss Brooks, may the coming year bring you much more efficiency in your work. Signed, O. Conklin.
Oh, I can hardly believe it's Christmas time again. What happy memories I have of the earlier Christmases. There was one I'll never forget. I was just 8 years old, and when I tiptoed into the living room, there was my father standing by the tree. The minute he saw me, his eyes crinkled up, and he started to laugh, so that his big white beard and his huge paunch just shook with glee.
Your father was made up as Santa Claus?
No, he always looked that way. But to get back to the present, Connie, I'd love to stay here and celebrate Christmas Eve with you, but I promised my sister Angela I'd come over to her place. You remember Angela, the absent-minded one?
Oh, certainly, Mrs. Davis.
She always got a big thrill out of the holidays, too, even when we were girls. Of course, the poor dear could never remember when it was actually Christmas. And one Christmas day, she did the funniest thing.
What was that, Mrs. Davis?
What's what, dear?
What did Angela do?
Angela?
Your sister.
My sister?
The absent-minded one. What did she do?
Well, I haven't spoken to Angela in some time. What has she been up to?
I wish I knew. Maybe I can refresh your memory. Christmas morning, Angela did the funniest thing.
Christmas morning isn't until tomorrow, Connie. You must be confused.
Well, don't worry about it. I only get these spells once in a while.
Well, you shouldn't let it go, Connie. If you don't mind my offering a little advice, I'd like to suggest that you train your mind to concentrate more.
I'll do it, Mrs. Davis.
Now then, I've developed a little scheme which works wonders for me. Supposing you have trouble remembering where you put things around the house. Well, you just keep repeating the location to yourself with a sort of rhythm. For example, I just chant to myself, the mustard's in the closet, the bread is in the box. The mustard's in the closet, the bread is in the box. Now, isn't that simple? Mustard's in the closet, bread.
Wonderful, Mrs. Davis. If anybody wants a mustard sandwich, you're really ready.
Yes. Now, before I do anything else, I want to invite you to join me tonight.
Join you?
Yes, dear. I'm going over to
Angela's house.
Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, she's so cute with that little absent mind of hers. Why, sometimes she forgets what she was talking about right in the middle of a... Oh, dear me, I hope there's enough milk for the cat.
Well, I'm sure if we... But then maybe someday. Or if it doesn't seem to. And that's why I can't join you tonight. But thanks anyway, Mrs. Davis. I'll just spend a quiet evening at home here.
But how about Mr. Boynton? Don't tell me he was too shy to ask you for a date on Christmas Eve.
Why do you think there's mistletoe on all four walls? No, Mr. Boynton asked me all right, but then he canceled yesterday. Said he's going upstate to visit his folks for a couple of days. But don't worry about me, Mrs. Davis. I'll have a gay time. I'll listen to the radio, read, and from this window I can see our neighbor's television antenna.
But what about the little gifts you got for Walter Denton and Mr. and Mrs. Conklin and Harriet? When are you going to deliver them?
They told me not to bother. They said we'd exchange on the 26th.
The 26th? But I don't think the day after Christmas is the time to exchange gifts.
You don't? You should see the department stores. What's that, Mrs. Davis?
Oh, it's Minerva. Where are you, dear?
Over by the trees. Here, Rover. Minerva.
Isn't it the strangest thing how she bites at the pine needles? I guess the rosin in them appeals to her. I swear she likes the taste of it.
I guess to her it's like a Tom and Jerry. Or rather a Minnie and a Mickey. Come here, Minerva. We might as well get friendly. We're going to spend the evening together.
Well, I'll be running along now, dear. I hope you won't feel too lonely.
I'll be fine, Mrs. Davis. After all, I do have an imagination. I'll hang up my stocking in a little while. Then when I'm pretending I'm asleep, I'll sneak in and fill it. Before you know it, it'll be midnight.
Midnight of Christmas Eve.
I can just picture it. A short, thin man in a black suit comes sliding down the chimney with an empty bag. St. Penniless, the schoolteacher Santa Claus.
Well, at least you're not bitter. Now, Connie, about my sister,
Angela.
Thank you, dear. About my sister Angela.
Yeah?
Good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Bernice.
drinking those pine needles, Minerva. Come over here. That's a good kitty. Now I'll just settle down in Mrs. Davis's rocker, and we'll have ourselves a nice, quiet rock. I've got to exercise more. My bones are rusting. Oh, it's the rocker. It's kind of soothing at that. You seem contented enough, Minerva. It was the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Sorry, Minerva. I didn't mean to catch you. Oh, gosh, I'm sleepy. Now, who can that be? Expecting anyone, Minerva? That's funny. Nobody's here.
I'm here.
Where? Oh, leaning on my knee. What can I do for you?
I'm a salesman, but I don't believe in giving any sales talk or sob stories. All I do is tell you what I'm selling. And if you want to buy, okay. If not, okay.
Okay, what are you selling?
Well, it's Christmas Eve. I'm just a small urchin, a little on the underprivileged side. I'm trying to make a few dollars to get some wood to heat our tiny apartment. So while she's singing to my 3 sick sisters, my mother's lips don't turn blue.
That's what I like, no sob stories. If you're selling handkerchiefs, I'll take 6.
No, ma'am. I'm selling Christmas trees. They're only $1 a piece.
Oh, I've already got a tree.
So I'll make it 50 cents.
But I don't need
How about
a tree.
a quarter?
Look, little boy.
I can arrange payments. Please take one, ma'am. These aren't ordinary trees, you know. They're magic.
Magic?
Yes, ma'am. You'd be surprised what miracles will happen if you buy one.
Well, a quarter isn't too much to pay for a miracle.
It's 50 cents.
I thought you said 25.
That's when you sounded tougher to sell.
Oh. Well, before I melt down to my coal buttons and the stovepipe hat, here's 50 cents.
You won't be sorry, ma'am. Here's a little tree.
Say, it's kind of cute at that. Would you like to come in and help me set it up?
Oh, I can't. I gotta get right home. My sitter's been alone long enough.
Sitter? What about your mother and the firewood?
That's just a routine. My folks are attending a dinner the other bank presidents are giving for father.
With the pitch you've got, you'll have your own bank by the time you're 12.
Thanks a lot. Good night, lady, and Merry Christmas.
Same to you, you little underprivileged millionaire. I'll put this tree over here. Maybe we can find some extra trimmings for it in the morning.
Meow.
Minerva, will you stop gnawing on those pine needles? I wish I knew what made them so appetizing to us.
Meow.
Now, you come here and let those things alone. There we are. Well, I guess I'm not the only one that's spending Christmas Eve alone without family or friends. But who can tell? Maybe Santa Claus has something up his big red sleeve that I don't even know about yet. Of course, I do have a squeaky rocker and Minerva. Jingle bells, and merry, stuff like that. Oh, what fun it is to rock with a big fat drunken cat. In the living room Christmas Eve with Minerva the cat on my lap, I couldn't help noticing that the tree which I'd bought from that wealthy urchin had a rather peculiar luminosity. Although there wasn't any artificial illumination, it seemed to glow from deep down in its branches. As I rocked back and forth, I started to get very drowsy. Oh, the little boy said this tree was magic, Minerva. I don't believe it either. Still, it is Christmas Eve. Some very strange things have happened on Christmas Eve. Huh? What's that? Oh, I must have been dozing. Coming! Well, it's Walter Denton. Come in, Walter.
Noel, Joe, you know well.
Gracias. Come on into the living room, Walter.
Thanks, Miss Brooks. Here, I brought you this little gift to put under your tree.
Oh, that was very thoughtful, Walter. Put it under this tree over here.
Okay. Say, you got 2 trees, haven't you?
Yes, one for Minerva and one for me.
Yeah. What?
Don't pay any attention to her. She's pine needle happy.
Well, Miss Brooks, as you know, I was supposed to spend the evening nestled snugly in the tight little confines of my own small, immediate family circle.
For heaven's sakes, come out of there. You're giving me claustrophobia.
But I went to my father and mother and crowed their permission.
Wait a minute, Walter. You crowed their permission?
Yeah. Craven, crove, isn't it?
Of course not. Crave. Let's see. Craven. After you crowed their permission,
Well, they waived my presence for a long enough while for me to deliver to you, Miss Brooks, the little token of my esteem and affection, which is now ensconcing under the tree.
Walter, are you still in my English class?
Sure, Miss Brooks.
Well, I'd better bone up a little. One of us is going to flunk this term.
What I'd like to say, Miss Brooks, is something that I've wanted to say for a long time.
Yes, Walter?
It's a little on the sentimental side, perhaps, for a so-called pep high school boy to be telling the teacher, but it's sincere, Miss Brooks.
I'm sure it is.
It's something I feel deep down inside of me, Miss Brooks, from whence so many of one's warmer emotions stem.
That's whence they stem from, all right.
Of course, even if it does seem over-sentimental or even downright sticky, Christmas Eve seems to be the time you can say things like this and not sound over-sentimental or sticky.
Christmas Eve is the time to say them. I just hope I hear them by New Year's Eve.
What I want you to know, Miss Brooks, is that I'm grateful.
For what?
For my association with you during the past semester at Madison High School.
Well, thank you, Walter. I've tried to be a capable teacher.
Oh, your teaching was nothing. I don't mean scholastically. As a teacher, you were very adequate. No, I mean personally. The interest you took in me and my problems. For that, I could never thank you if I lived to be 100. Of course, you'd be gone a long time by then.
Noel to you, too.
You don't know what it's meant to me to have your ear whenever I needed it.
It was nothing, really. I have another one.
Especially about girls. Gosh, remember how silly I used to act about girls? Every time one of them looked at me, I giggled like a kid. And then, overnight, I matured. I met the one woman who mattered. Harriet Conklin.
I don't know what, but something.
And you saw me through the difficult transition period of that amour as well, while Harriet and I were adjusting to one another. It was wonderful to be able to come to you for advice, Miss Brooks. It isn't every boy who has such an interest taken in him by some intelligent, elderly person.
Give me back my ear. I can't hear you.
Not that you're ancient or anything. Gosh, I've seen girls who don't look as good as you do.
Girls? What do you think I am?
Yeah.
Shut up, Minerva.
By the way, Miss Brooks, I see you got lots of mistletoe on the walls. Were you expecting Mr. Boynton tonight?
Yes, Walter, I was. We were going for a wheelchair ride together. But he had to visit his folks upstate.
His folks? Gosh, they must be well along in years.
His father's over 50. They may shoot him next spring. Look, Walter, while you're here, you might as well pick up the little gift I got for you.
Oh, but you shouldn't have, Miss Brooks. Where is it?
Under the tree on your right. It isn't much, just a remembrance.
Oh, gee, I almost forgot. I can't open it yet.
Why not? Oh, you mean you want to put it under your tree at home and open it with your family?
Well, not exactly, but well, I'll get it later, Miss Brooks. Oh, there they are now. I'll answer it.
There who are now?
Come on in, folks. She was all alone when I got here.
should have stayed home Christmas Eve. Besides, it's freezing out.
Now, Osgood, don't be so grouchy. Hello, Miss Brooks. Merry Christmas.
Why, it's Mr. and Mrs. Conklin and Harriet. How are you all?
I'm cold.
That's too bad. Come here, Minerva. Rub up against Mr. Conklin.
What's that? Go away, cat.
She seems to like you, Osgood. Or is she hungry, Miss Brooks?
She's not that hungry.
I don't like cats. Why doesn't you go chase a mouse or something?
You forget, Mr. Conklin. This is Christmas Eve. There isn't one stirring.
Say, Harriet. Yes, Walter? There's a lot of mistletoe around this room. I know. It's real pretty. Osgood. Notice all the mistletoe in this room?
What? Oh, that green stuff. More often than not, it makes me sneeze.
Oh, come on, Osgood. Let's see if it does.
Oh, now, Martha, don't embarrass me. I don't like that.
It doesn't make you sneeze, does it, Harriet? I'm willing to find out. Here's a nice wreath of it on this wall. Yeah. Well, here we are. Yes, here we are. If it's all right with Harriet, it's all right with us. Oh, come on, Walter. We're getting old. Oh, gosh, you're sweet, Harriet. Isn't that cute, Osgood? Oh, come here, dear. How about one for your faithful old wife?
Well, it is customary, I guess. There. I'm under the stuff.
Now, pucker up, dear.
Very well, very well. You see, I told you. Now, let's stop this romantic dribble and act like adult human beings. Miss Brooks, I'd like to take advantage of this visit to inquire as to your plans for the coming year's classwork. Do you have your schedule all laid out?
Frankly, Mr. Conklin, I haven't had much chance to work on anything.
Haven't had much of a chance, but you've been away from school all week. Your vacation started last Monday.
I know, Mr. Conklin, and that's what I took the week as. I mean, a vacation is something you go on when you get the opportunity to. You don't work on it or during it, unless, even though I didn't actually go anywhere, when my vacation came along, I went on it, or was on one, usually.
And you wanted to be the head of the English department.
Please, Osgood, this is no time to talk of school affairs. We're here to spend part of our holiday with Miss Brooks.
It was very nice of you to think about me, Mrs. Conklin. It was nice of all of you. Where are Walter and Harriet?
Denton, get my daughter away from that mistletoe at once.
Why, Mr. Conklin, Harriet isn't allergic to mistletoe.
No, but I'm allergic to you.
Harriet's almost irresistible sometimes, especially alongside of older women like Mrs. Conklin and Miss Brooks.
Sounds like the bell. I'll get it. Why, Mr. Boynton, come in.
Oh, thanks, Miss Brooks.
But I thought you were going upstate to see your folks.
I was, but they sent me a wire that they wanted to come here for about a week or so. They'll arrive in the morning, so I thought I'd drop this little gift off for you tonight.
Oh, but you shouldn't have. Where is it? Let's just put it under the tree in the living room. Look who's here, everybody.
Well, it's Mr. Boynton. Hi there, Mr. B. This is nice.
Hello, Boynton. Pretty cold out, isn't it? Hello, folks.
This is beginning to get more like Christmas Eve every minute. Sit down, Mr. Boynton. I'm certainly glad your folks decided to visit you instead of vice versa.
Well, so am I. There's a particularly good reason why I'm glad.
There is?
Yes. It gives me a chance to see how my guinea pigs are affected by this cold snap. They haven't reacted at all.
What do you expect them to do? Blow on their paws?
Brooke, have you pointed out the mistletoe to Mr. Boynton?
Oh, why don't you stop that nonsense, Martha?
It isn't nonsense. Mr. Boynton, look at the mistletoe.
Mistletoe? Oh, yes. A very interesting example of the flora found in various areas throughout the globe. An evergreen parasitic shrub, it is indigenous to the regions where apple trees and oaks abound.
Now that the lecture is over, may we ask questions?
Certainly, Miss Brooks.
Want to stand under it?
Stand under it? Well, you see, because of certain characteristics in its makeup, an allergy is sometimes aggravated by its presence.
I'll take a chance if you will. Come on, Mr. Boynton.
Yeah, come on, Mr. Boynton.
Just bring him over to this wall here.
Well, I'll get under it if you like.
Well, don't just stand there. Can't you see Miss Brooks is cooking?
Well, don't fuss for me. I couldn't eat a thing.
Standing under the mistletoe signifies?
Well, I know what it signifies to most people, but to me, it's
Well, there goes 85 cents worth of mistletoe.
I know what let's do. Let's open up the presents right now.
Wow.
Splendid suggestion, Walter.
Shouldn't we wait until just before we leave? Might be less embarrassing that way.
Well, if you want to open them now.
Golly, this one tree's pretty crowded. I'll put some of these packages under this little one over here.
Hey, look out, Walter. You're bumping into one of the branches. Look out.
Gosh, I got the funniest feeling when I touched that branch.
What kind of a feeling, Walter?
Well, you're Harriet Conklin, aren't you?
Well, sure, I'm Harriet Conklin. Walter, what's the matter with you?
Nothing. Nothing's the matter with me. It's just that I want to tell you something. Harriet, you've got to change. You want to try to be more like Miss Brooks.
Well, what do you mean, Walter?
If you want me to stay interested in you, you've got to be more alluring, youthful, glamorous, feminine in that real feline Brooks way.
Walter, have you been drinking pine needles, too?
Look at that tree. It seems to be glowing.
What do you mean, glowing? It's just the reflection from the street lights. This party's giving me the memes. Holidays, indeed. Here, I'll just move the tree where it won't glisten in our eyes. Here we go. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Of course I'm Mr. Conklin. Happy-go-lucky, fun-loving, gag-a-minute Osgood.
Gag-a-minute Osgood? Sometimes I've wanted to.
Brooks, you suddenly look so different, so intelligent. Miss Brooks, I have made up my mind. You are now head of the Madison High English Department. Ha, 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 ha.
Well, thank you, fun-loving Osgood.
I'm going to put this wonderful tree where it belongs, right in the center of the room. Give me a hand, Boynton.
Yes, sir, Mr. Conklin. I'll just take this end here and... Miss Brooks?
Yes, Mr. Boynton?
Come here, baby. I said, come here, Connie.
You did not. You said, come here, baby, and I'm here.
Look, he's taking her over to the mistletoe.
Isn't it wonderful? What are you going to do, Mr. Boynton?
Just call me Phil, Connie. And this is what I'm going to do. How does that make you feel?
I feel like I'm in a dream, Philip. A wonderful, beautiful dream. Mr. Boynton. Mr. Boynton. Mr. Boynton, where are you? Where did everybody go? Oh, I must have been dreaming. Well, that's real enough. I'll be right there. Oh, sorry, Minerva. I didn't mean to drop you.
I'm cold.
Why, it's the Conklins and Walter and Mr. Boynton. But you all just left. Come in.
We thought it would be nice if we spent our Christmas Eve together, Miss Brooks. Yes, and we brought a few little gifts over for you.
Now, I'll just put them under this tree here. Yes, do that, Walter.
Aren't you going to ask me why I didn't go upstate, Miss Brooks?
I know why, Mr. Boynton. Your folks are coming down to see you.
How did you know that? I just got the telegram.
Don't let's get too carried away with the holidays. We've got to prepare for a hard school season ahead, Miss Brooks.
Oh, let's not talk about school affairs now, Osgood.
Walter, look at the mistletoe.
Yeah, look at it.
Now, just a minute before we go through all that again. Would you please touch the tree, Mr. Boynton? The one on the left with the... Why, it's gone. There's only one tree.
Miss Brooks, are you all right?
Of course I'm all right. Could I have dreamt that part, too? Mr. Boynton, would you do me a favor, please?
Oh, of course, Miss Brooks. What is it?
Would you touch the Christmas tree?
Touch it?
Please, it's important.
All right. There.
Nothing happened.
What did you expect would happen?
A miracle. Excuse me, I'll be right back.
I'm a little urchin, and I'm selling magic Christmas trees.
But you just came
Please
here.
buy one, lady. They only cost 50 cents apiece.
50 cents?
That's right.
Here's $2. Give me 4 of them.